current named storms in June.
All right, and Brett named pretty far to the south too as well. So we have a live look at New Orleans as well as Tallahassee, Florida. Both of these locations through our Earth cam, we see the clouds already this morning. You can feel the tropical moisture, and we're talking heavy rain over the next 24 hours, Jen. Somebody could possibly approach a foot of rainfall. We also had some problems in Tobago and Trinidad, some windy conditions where Tropical Storm Brett caused a tremendous amounts of rainfall that caused flooding across the region. But Jen, you're going to talk about that system closer to home right now.
So potential tropical cyclone 3. And in case someone's just tuning in and wondering about this naming convention, this is new this year by the National Hurricane Center. And it's very useful, actually, because they can issue warnings and watches and advisories like this before a system is named. And when it's close to land, you want to be able to do that, right, to make sure you give the proper warning. Now, here's the circulation right there. Here's all the cloud cover and the moisture. Everything's on the eastern side of it. Winds estimated at 40 miles per hour. It's got an 80% chance, both in the short term and in the next 5-day period as well, that we will see impacts as a tropical storm. So likely to develop. Now, the track actually, and you saw that low was to the west of where we had all of the active weather. The track actually takes it a little more west. It's on a northwesterly track right now, maybe even skewing a little bit to the west of that. The point of landfall won't matter as much as the fact that the rain shield and the thunderstorm activity with it extends so wide. To the east of it, there will be a lot of impacts far away from the center. We do have tropical storm warnings that are up for the coast of Louisiana. It includes New Orleans, where Jim is this morning. All right, Jim, let's talk about this rain concern that we have with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the city of New Orleans is below level. For folks that don't know that, I think a lot of people do know that. And the pump system that they have in through here pumps out an inch an hour for the first hour, and then a ½ inch up to 5 inches after that. So, you know, if we can get breaks between the rain, we'll be okay here in the city of New Orleans. But there are many areas, and what I'm really worried about the most is where that front that rammed the Northeast yesterday with all that weather sits. Does it sit over northern Georgia? Does it sit over northern Alabama? And all the moisture pool on that. That could be where most of the flooding is. So we have to watch that. All right, so let's talk about this. What's keeping this at bay this morning, and you can actually see it on the water. What it's got is an upper level low in the western Gulf of Mexico. That's that orange area there. But you'll notice the cloud motion, the moisture motion is off to the northeast. That's 30+ knots of shear over the top of this. And that's what's keeping the thunderstorms from developing around the center, okay? And that's going to be with us, I think, for its entirety. So this shouldn't get too much stronger, but it's still going to have a lot of water with it. I mean, look at where that water goes, all the way down to the Gulf, all the way down to the Pacific side. The steering with this, as Jim was mentioning, is the weakness between the two subtropical ridges. The Bermuda High loosens its steering, and then the western ridge begins to take over, and that's what I think gives it the western track. But look at this. Here's a great shot. The precipitable water in deep red here, the old front from yesterday, that thing stalls out, and two areas of deep moisture, one associated with the center and one associated with the moisture plume that's out east of the center. And notice where that goes, right over the southern Appalachians. So we have to watch that. The second one will be East Texas, West Central Louisiana. Overall, though, tough to predict the rainfall rates until this starts to set up. I think some of the heaviest rain for western Louisiana may actually be Wednesday and Thursday. Here in New Orleans, Kelly, I think our best chances of heavier rain are today and tomorrow. Either way, the city of New Orleans has got their eyes on it, and the last thing they want to do is flood. This town is full of tourists. Back to you.
Exactly. This time of year, it's vacation season. Doing some traveling through Atlanta, Georgia, you may encounter some flooding as well. Remember, just not that long ago, we had a drought. Now we've got a surplus for the year of over 3 inches, but we do have a flash flood watch. So we've gone from not enough rain to too much rain, and especially the I-20 corridor needs to be watched. You can see where the flash flood watch is in effect, including Athens, by the way, and down towards Noonan. So it's basically Atlanta southward, and already we've had some flash flooding just south and east of Atlanta during the overnight hours when we saw 2 to 4 inches of rain. We've got a lot more to come. We've got a frontal boundary that's going to stall out across the region, interact with that tropical moisture. Marietta, Kennesaw, up towards Woodstock, we're talking 2 to 3 inches of rainfall. Not the best weather for taking the boat out. Definitely listen for the thunder. Also Montgomery here looking at 2 to 3 inches of rain, and this forecast, Jen, goes all the way through Friday.
Okay, coming up this morning, they are our eyes inside the storm. Ahead on AMHQ, meet the fleet the hurricane hunters deployed to track exactly how strong a storm is and where it's headed.
There are over 18 million new cars on the road in this country, and at Firestone Complete Auto Care, our 4,000 ASE certified technicians are proud to help keep them running newer, longer. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
May you grow up to be righteous. May you grow up to be true. May you always know the truth.
Long live honor, and long live the truck that salutes those who've built this country. Ram, America's longest-lasting pickups.
Now get 0% APR financing for 72 months on 2017 Ram 1500 quad and regular cabs.
Managing blood sugar is not a marathon. It's a series of smart choices. And when you replace one meal or snack a day with Glucerna, made with Carb Steady to help minimize blood sugar spikes, you can really feel it. Glucerna, everyday progress.
Turning in the grain again. The bells began to chime. Time, she says, there's no turning back.
You can pass down a Subaru Forester.
She's all yours.
But you get to keep the memories.
Love. It's what makes a Subaru a Subaru.
Over 40, feeling tired, losing muscle, and even romantic drive? Man up with Ageless Male. Natural ingredients clinically shown to support energy, promote muscle, and boost free testosterone. Man up with Ageless Male.
Phazyme doesn't just treat gas, it attacks it. Phazyme 250 milligram strength with twice the amount of medicine per tablet as Gas X Extra Strength.
Welcome to my show me what you do now. We don't have to go
Break it fast.
Thank you, sweetie. Who wants a cookie?
Jimmy John's. Gentlemen, Beggin' Skinny Strips or Beggin' Black Label.
This too?
Now this is the delicious dilemma. Introducing new Beggin' Strips Premium Edition. With real meat as ingredient one.
Everything to your liking.
New Beggin' Strips Premium.
Because Beggin'!
101 Dalmatians, good. And 101 degrees, bad.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 6.
Welcome back on this Tuesday morning. AMHQ, of course, your travel headquarters. It's now just about 40 past the hour, and talk about a travel nightmare in the Northeast yesterday. Here is the reason why. Check out this time lapse over Brooklyn, New York. Those ominous clouds eventually producing some very heavy rain, gusty winds, and really snarled up air travel. We're talking nearly 6,000 flight delays within, into, or out of the U.S. yesterday. More than 1,600 flight cancellations. So today, well, guess what? It's catch-up day. And thank goodness the weather is going to be improving across the Northeast as that frontal boundary slips offshore. It's still onshore, by the way. Still seeing some clouds over New England, a little bit of patchy fog up there in Maine. And then, of course, we're going to have to watch our potential tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. But for now, we are all green lights from coast to coast. No airport delays, but it's early. Here's a look at where we could see some issues later on, especially for the busiest airport of them all, Atlanta. Major delays are likely here with the thunderstorms. Charleston, New Orleans, and Jacksonville all need to be basically kept an eye on later on today as well, Jen.
So One way that we keep an eye on what's happening in the tropics is through the Hurricane Hunters recon flights. Let's talk about this. It's very fascinating, actually. So the Hurricane Hunters are scheduled to fly into potential tropical Cyclone 3 this morning. They'll be looking for how it's organized or disorganized. The complex is. They'll look for wind speeds and central pressure. So there are actually 3 different teams of Hurricane Hunter aircraft that fly into the storms. Let's talk about that. First is the NOAA P-3 Orion. There's 2 P-3s in the fleet. This is based actually at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. They fly through the system and they fly pretty low level. We're talking about 1,500 to 10,000 feet. So that's the NOAA P-3. We've got Miss Piggy and Gonzo as the nicknames. Then we go to the Air Force team, the C-130s. They're based at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, Mississippi. They also fly through the system at fairly low levels. We're talking about 1,000 feet to 10,000 feet. This is all to get observations about how the system is organized, is there a closed circulation, etc. There's also the Gulfstream 4, which is based at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. This flight is a high-level flight, 40,000 feet. It actually samples the environment around and where the system is expected to travel into. So all significant data that goes into the forecasting, both in the short term and the longer term. For example, the data that we get from the Gulfstream goes into the modeling, right, and helps to make a better forecast about the environment that the system is going into. Now, one key feature that we use, not we, but the Hurricane Hunters use to get information when they're flying is a dropson. And that's a data measuring device that's dropped into the storm. It looks just like this here. As it drops through the clouds and through the environments, it is sampling the atmosphere constantly, actually. It's 16 inches long. It weighs less than a pound. It's only 2 3/4 inches in diameter. And as it drops, we get pressure, we get humidity, we get temperature, and of course, it's linked back to the satellite, so we get information right away, instantaneously, with the GPS antenna and receiver to calculate the wind speed and the direction. Key information that is critical in making not just an observation about what's happening right now, but making that forecast better about what the tropical cyclone is going to do and where it is going to go. This thing falls at speeds of 25 to 35 miles per hour. It takes about 4 minutes, actually, if the flight is at 10,000 feet, to fall all the way down to the ocean surface. All right, I think this is fascinating, Kelly, and they'll be out there again doing this today.
I know if you're like me, Jen, you would love a ride through a storm on one of those, right? All right. Happy summer, everybody. Later on tonight after midnight, it's the summer solstice, and as we go through the next couple of days, we're going to have to keep a close eye on that system in the Gulf of Mexico. Could it become Cindy? Even if it doesn't become Cindy, heavy rain slated all along the Gulf Coast, leading to flash flood concerns from New Orleans to Biloxi to Mobile, even into Florida as well. Thursday, we've got the red on the map. That's where we could see some severe storms, especially across the Midwest and moving eventually into the Northeast. Still looking unsettled all throughout the South, so we're talking several inches of rain possibly for some of you. 90 degrees in Dallas as we get our weekend started, our first weekend of summer, and then as we go into Sunday, still looking unsettled across the South, but beautiful across much of the western half of the country. Jim, in New Orleans.
Yes, New Orleans this morning, of course, always worried when you're below sea level about heavy rain, rainfall at over 2 inches an hour. If we get that, that really stresses the pump system in through here. But it's an intricate system of pumps, canals, and gates to move the water in and out of the bowl, which we call here the city of New Orleans. So far, at this point, we're dry. We've taken the jacket off, but that is not going to last for the rest of the day. We'll talk about that on AMHQ.
Get into Olive Garden now for our lunch duos. Choose your favorite pasta, piadina, or sandwich. It all comes with our never-ending super salad and all the breadsticks you want, starting at just $6.99. Get never-ending value for lunch today at Olive Garden.
Pamper your feet with this at-home pedicure.
I don't have time for that. My feet get so dry and cracked, I need serious relief. That's why I use O'Keeffe's for Healthy Feet. Guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked feet. Thanks to O'Keeffe's, I got my feet back.
You can say what you like, pay you no mind, 'cause I've heard it before 1,000 times. You can break my bones, but you'll never.
While other insurance companies just see a truck, we see something you've worked really hard for. So why not give it the protection it deserves?
It's just what you see.
Don't
you love the great taste of food hot off the grill, but hate when your food gets stuck to the grate? You need the new Yoshi Non-Stick Grill Mat, infused with real copper. No more sticking, no hot spots, no flare-ups. Just juicy, tender food with that great grilled flavor. And your grill stays clean, too. Cook kebabs, juicy burgers, lip-smacking ribs, or flaky, moist fish that's easy to flip. Nothing sticks. And look, perfect grill marks every time. Amazing! Now those grilled vegetables won't fall through the cracks. Call and get 2 Yoshi Copper grill mats and the new Yoshi Copper bake mat for only $19.99. You also get the amazing grip and flip free. Just pay processing and free shipping too. You get it all, so call now.
To order your Yoshi Copper Grill Mat, call 1-800-359-9203. That's 1-800-359-9203. Or you can visit us online at coppergrillmat.com. That's coppergrillmat.com. Order now.
Ahead on AMHQ, we are tracking potential tropical cyclone 3. This storm is just 300 miles away from the Louisiana shoreline, and we could see impacts on land as early as Thursday morning. In fact, we'll already see the impacts, though, with the rain, and that's spreading in through today. It's the wind and the rain. You've got tropical storm warnings that are up for the coast of Louisiana. Tropical storm watches extend into Texas. Jim, but we know the rain is going to be an issue for many here along the central Gulf Coast.
Yeah, along the Gulf Coast and inland, Jen, as that moisture reaches as far north as the southern Appalachians. This morning, a beautiful sky as we're kind of in between rain bands. Almost looks like a little roll cloud right there, just above the Creole Queen. This is what makes this city beautiful, not the rain. We'll talk about it, though, coming up.
You don't let anything keep you sidelined. That's why you drink Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. For the strength and energy to get back to doing what you love. Ensure, always be you.
We always were told we were German. We were in a German dance group. I wore lederhosen, so I just started poking around on Ancestry. Then I decided to have my DNA tested through Ancestry DNA. It turns out I'm Scottish, so I traded in my lederhosen for a kilt.
Hi guys, it's great to be here in the desert, at the mall, on the mountain, at school, at the beach, in the Big Easy. Yeah. Today I want to show you guys the next gen Chevy Equinox. What do you think? That's pretty. Pretty sexy.
It looks aggressive.
But not overbearing. It's not too big, not too small.
Seems like the perfect car for anybody.
I would take it anyway.
She's a bad mamma jamma.
Current qualified GM lessees can get this introductory lease on the all-new 2018 Chevy Equinox for around $249 a month. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Spring is a pretty good season. It's sort of invigorating, and the change in the weather is fascinating.
Spring weather is that transitional season where we start to see thunderstorms develop.
The weather is really changeable in the springtime, and you get pretty exciting storms. I mean, that's something that I just really love.
My appreciation for spring weather has grown immensely at the Weather Channel. Severe weather is so fascinating to see it develop. If you love the weather as much as we do, join us at weloveweather.tv.
It is 50 past the hour, and if you've tuned into the Weather Channel for the past year or the past 30 years, you know this is when we do our tropical update this time of the year. So we're tracking the tropics for you. 2 systems already here in June concurrently. That's pretty rare. That's kind of in a class by itself, that's for sure. We've got Brett, which came through Trinidad and Tobago overnight. We do understand there's some damage down there from some of the reports. We don't know how bad it is, but we'll just have to see, wait and see here at first light. Hopefully those guys are okay down there. And potential tropical cyclone number 3. This is something new this year. We saw this with Brett before it actually became a tropical storm. And what is it? It's a disturbance that's not completely a tropical cyclone yet. And in this case, number 3's case, winds are juxtaposed off to the northeast, okay? It's got a center. It's a nice center, but the winds are juxtaposed off to the northeast. It does pose a threat to land, so whether it's got a name or not, the impacts are still going to be the same. We've been talking about the flooding, we've been talking about the water, we've been talking about the wind that's going to be piling up, and of course it allows NHC to issue the advisories, as we talked about yesterday, when they put out tropical storm warnings for the city of New Orleans. So here's how those warnings and watches look now. Again, Beaumont to Cameron, that's where you're in a watch. If this storm were to strengthen a little bit more, we may actually see those warnings extended off toward the west. And you'll notice, again, it's south of New Orleans that we have the tropical storm warnings. So it's over the bayou, Calcasieu Parish, on over toward Morgan City, Houma, Louisiana, south of Lafayette as well is where we have all these. And even the probabilities of this developing have been lowered. So going from 90% to 80% isn't a big deal, but they've come down just a little bit. So whether this stays at steadier state or goes through the rigmarole, if you will, of getting to be full-blown tropical storm, I really think the impacts we're telling you about are going to be the same, and that's really the takeaway here. Again, notice where the center is, and notice how wide the winds are around that. So they're off to the northeast of it, they're off to on the west side of it, but they're just not consolidated near the center. I was wondering actually if it's purely tropical or not. But either way, it is going to now begin to see and feel the influence of the ridge that provided so much heat and continues to provide the heat to the southwest. All-time record-tying high in Vegas yesterday. That's going to start taking this thing off toward the west a little bit, and it's going to bring it in, at least the center, over toward Lake Charles. The big question is, do we get thunderstorms to consolidate on that center? Or frankly, it comes on shore with little thunderstorm activity. It's all the stuff that's off to the east of it that we're worried about. All right, let's find out why we aren't going to see this, or potentially why it may not develop further. It's this little thing called wind shear, isn't it, Jen Carpegna?
Yes, and when it comes to the tropics, wind shear is pretty important to the overall health of the tropical system. So wind shear makes a big difference as to will you get organization of thunderstorms right over the center of circulation. As Jim talked about, here's the center in here somewhere. So right in here, and then here's all of the convection and the thunderstorm activity, as well as the tropical storm force winds. That's where they are right now. You can see again where that center is right here. These purple colors are where we have some stronger wind shear. And really on the west side of it, where we don't have a lot of thunderstorm activity, we have more significant wind shear right there. This is what it means to the health of a tropical system when you have wind shear. So you get these waves that develop. They move with the easterly flow, so they move from east to west. But then you get these stronger, the jet stream level winds. And these strong upper level winds, when they are strong anyway, they shear off the tops of the thunderstorms. They send them downstream, just like this here. And so the thunderstorms, which are the heat engine, which provide the latent heat of condensation into the hurricane and keep it going, those thunderstorms are not able to continue to develop over that center of circulation. They get blown off, as you saw, and that prevents future development and strengthening of a system. So wind shear, Kelly, works against formation of a tropical system, and we are dealing with some wind shear in the short term here in the future.
And then there's the wind shear that could lead to severe weather. Jen, of course, that's always a possibility with any landfalling tropical system. But we're also talking about some very heavy rain that's going to be slated not just along the Gulf Coast, but for the rest of the South as well. National Weather Service says places like Norfolk, Virginia could see some slow-moving thunderstorms, and that means perhaps a chance for some flooding. Already we've had rain this morning in Norfolk and Virginia Beach. Heavy rain pounding the east coast of North Carolina as well. Raleigh, you've had some rain as well this morning. Currently, your temperature sitting in the upper 60s. You step outside, it feels like it wants to rain, even if it's not raining at the moment. We've already had up to 2.5 inches of rain in that darker shade of green right between Virginia and North Carolina along the border. So basically, when we get training of thunderstorms, it's like cars on a train where it basically repeats over the same area over and over again, Jen, and that's something we're going to have to watch out for. It could result in more flash flooding.
Yes, and we are continuing live on the ground throughout the day, bringing you the latest updates on this tropical system that is threatening to rock the Gulf Coast with heavy rain. Stay tuned for thorough analysis of what it means for your city.
Managing blood sugar is not a marathon. It's a series of smart choices. And when you replace one meal or snack a day with Glucerna, made with Carb Steady to help minimize blood sugar spikes, you can really feel it. Glucerna, everyday progress.
Pick a car. Any car.
Just want to find a used car without getting ripped off.
Search millions of used cars and find a great deal at Carfax.com.
That would help. Show me the Carfax.
Only Carfax gives you the most accurate price based on a car's history. Just look at all the great deals.
Thanks, buddy.
Boom.
Show me the Carfax.
Start your used car search and get free Carfax reports at the all-new Carfax.com.
The new Honda Odyssey has tons of available smart features, like Cabin Talk.
How you guys doing? You good?
Yeah.
That lets parents chat with the rest of the family, and Cabin Watch, which makes it easier to keep an eye on your kids.
Hey, give me that back.
And it's available with Magic Slide seats. Just a few of the many ways to keep the peace in the all-new Honda Odyssey.
To apply for your MasterCard Black Card, visit Luxury Card or call 844-LUX-CARD.
Dogs love my Nutrish treat. Whoa.
New real meat treats from Rachel Ray Nutrish, inspired by recipes from Rachel's Kitchen. U.S. beef or chicken is the first ingredient. Treats from Nutrish. Real recipes, real ingredients, real good.
Hey, I'm thinking about switching my car insurance. Who do you have?
I really have to call Amica.
If you ask around, pretty soon you'll learn there are auto insurance customers and then there are Amica customers.
Do some research and you'll be impressed.
This is it. I'm calling Amica for a quote.
Good rate?
Good everything.
We make it easy to save money too with our long list of auto insurance discounts. Get your free quote now.
Welcome to Amica. This is helpfulness. Insured.
When heartburn hits, fight back fast with new Tums Chewy Bites. Fast relief in every bite. Crunchy outside, chewy inside. New Tums Chewy Bites.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others. Let others do for you.
Long live Spirit. And long live the truck with the strength to keep the faith. Ram, America's longest lasting pickups.
Now get 0% APR financing for 72 months on 2017 Ram 1500 quad and regular cabs.
The best way to get together is with the treat you make together.
Wish we got snow days, but I guess we kind of the opposite.
Job
Yeah.
to be here.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 6 on the Weather Channel.
We nailed it.
And good morning, everyone. Welcome to AMHQ. We are in New Orleans, Louisiana, a city certainly very prone to tropical systems and unfortunately flooding, which is the main threat from potential tropical cyclone number 3. We will let you know that it's not only New Orleans, but many areas along the Gulf Coast that face this risk of flooding. Jen.
Yeah, this potential tropical cyclone 3, it's all of this right here, and it could potentially hammer someone with over a foot of rain before it's all said and done. who's waking up to tropical downpours already this morning. Kelly.
And heavy rain, not the only threat with this potential tropical cyclone. Another dangerous threat could spin up. Expert analysis as we track the tropics and the impacts for the U.S. right now on AMHQ.
And it's Tuesday morning. Welcome to America's morning headquarters for weather. We are in New Orleans, of course, given the fact that we were seeing forecasts of 7 to 12 inches of rain. That's a good reason to be here, because if it comes all at once, if it comes at 2 to 3 inches an hour, there is a chance that this city could flood. And this is a city, by the way, that is full of conventions, that is full of people. It was actually hard getting a room, a great vacation spot. The whole Gulf Coast is full of people. This is not exactly the kind of weather that they came to the beach for. Is it, Jen Carpenter?
No, I mean, this is prime vacation season. And unfortunately, double red flags are flying on the Panhandle beaches in Florida right now, meaning you can't go in the water. You can be on the sand, but you cannot go in the water. And actually, the weather may make you leave the sand as well. So this is our potential tropical cyclone 3. You can see very broad area of cloud cover here, but especially on the east side of the circulation. An 80% chance of development within the next couple of days here, according to the National Hurricane Center. So right now, it's not officially tropical, but because of this potential tropical cyclone 3 designation, the Hurricane Center can issue advisories, can put out a cone like this and show us that the path right now northwest expected to maybe take even a little more westerly jog, perhaps making a landfall if it does indeed become a tropical storm, which would be Cindy. Tropical storm warnings are up for that reason, with that chance of tropical storm force winds. But Jim, the biggest threat is going to be rainfall, and it extends far from the center. We know last year in Louisiana, the most expensive disaster for the country was that Louisiana flooding that we had. And now we're looking at another big rain event, rain with a name or not.
Yeah, and that was with a system that didn't have a name, but it was trying to become a tropical system, much like this one is. And for everybody waking up this morning, going, what is this potential tropical cyclone? This is new. The short of it, guys, is it's new from the Hurricane Center this year. And what it allows them to do is, before they can name something based on criteria they've used for years, they can issue the advisories. That's why there's warnings out along the Louisiana coast and watches as well. All right, and that's what happened yesterday with Brett. And then, of course, it was upgraded. So let's talk about why or why not this may get upgraded to Cindy. All right, what we can see right now in the Gulf of Mexico is very complex. There's an upper low in the western Gulf. We're between the Bermuda High and the southwest ridge, which is so blazingly hot. And that funnel of moisture is coming right up along the Gulf Coast. So that is essentially on its own, even if we didn't have a cyclone here, what's ruining all of your beach weather. It's bringing winds on shore. It's creating wave action. So dangerous surf in addition to the cloud cover, which is what you don't come to the beach for. So here's a better look at the steering. There's the ridge. Here's the system kind of stuck in between. But it's the moisture that we're watching. And that's why since really, as of a couple of days ago, we were really hinting at quite a bit of moisture coming north into the Gulf of Mexico, and that was really going to be the problem with this. Notice it's not just one batch of it, though. By the time we get into Thursday, there's a batch that's with the center itself, okay? And that may not have a lot of thunderstorms with it, but there's also deep moisture that's coming north into Alabama and Georgia. So northern Georgia, northern Alabama, the southern Appalachians that have been wet of late after a wet spring, Jen, have the chance to get 4, 5, 6 inches of rain, as you can see here. But most of that rain is going to be along the Gulf Coast, and it's going to be over the next 2.5 days. Jen, back to you.
Jim, you see Mobile right in that bullseye for big rain, maybe over a foot, and you're running at about 200 to 400% of average of rainfall already. Other spots like Tallahassee you've begun to see some rain from potential tropical cyclone 3. The moisture is there. The potential for flash flooding inland in places like Houston and Birmingham in the coming days continue to ramp up. All right, Kelly, so let's track how much rain is coming into these cities.
I mean, with a messy system like we're watching in the Gulf, that means some messy weather for quite some time. For those of us along the Gulf Coast, you can see Tallahassee right here in the state capital. Anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of rain is forecast between now and Friday. But there are some areas just to the west of Tallahassee, even Panama City Beach, where we could see several inches of rain. It all depends on where these rain bands set up. But for that reason, we do have a flash flood watch in effect everywhere you see the green. Southern portions of Alabama, Mississippi, and over towards New Orleans included in this flash flood watch, which goes all the way through Thursday, by the way. So this rain has some staying power, at least the chance of rain. And look at New Orleans. We're talking 7 to 8 inches of rain. That is in our forecast through Friday, not just here, but over towards Biloxi, Jen. We could see close to a foot of rainfall there.
All right, so let's take a look at some other spots that have had too much rain, and not necessarily because of a tropical system of sorts, just a lot of moisture and a front. Raleigh, North Carolina. Nice to see some breaks in the clouds this morning, because wow, have we had a rainy night. Several roads closed due to the flooding that we've had, especially northwest of there over towards the Greensboro area. We have rain right now south of town, right on I-95, including around the Dunn area. At the airport at the moment, we are dry. All right, so across the region, we're going to keep the rain that's happening right now. We'll see this for at least the next maybe couple of hours before we start to get a break. We're in a pattern right here where certainly we could see additional rain set up through today. If it trains over the same area that just picked up about 2 inches of rain, that could cause additional flash flood concerns. In fact, some flood watches have gone up that extend through the day today across portions of North Georgia, including the Atlanta area. And you can see more rain tracking in all day long. Montgomery, after big rain yesterday, more rain coming your way as well. Kelly.
All right, stormy in the northeast as well, especially yesterday afternoon and evening. Storms all along the eastern seaboard arriving with great fanfare. Just take a look. And you'll want to stick around. I'm going to show you some of the damage that we saw from these storms. That's coming up at 10 past the hour. But we are tracking another tropical system in the southern Caribbean. And Jen, I know you have more on that.
Yes, that's right. Tropical Storm Brett, in case you may miss that was named last evening. So it has been producing heavy rain and strong gusty winds across the southeast Caribbean, the southern windwards there. Flash flooding here in Trinidad, putting streets underwater. Now, the tropical storm warning has just been lifted for Trinidad and Tobago and Grenada. We've got watches up for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, Jim.
Yeah, and those may go to warnings, Jen. The big question is, does this keep its strength, and does it stay close enough to actually have those tropical storm winds feel or get felt in Aruba and Curacao? Either way, there's going to be impacts. I mean, think about it. They call this area the doldrums. I mean, there's not. I mean, it's so far south that we don't usually get impacts from tropical systems here. So I can't say that it's never happened, because we know it has, but it's rare that it happens. It wouldn't surprise me to see these upgraded to warnings. All right, so here we go, guys. Early reports out of Trinidad and Tobago is for some damage, some roads washed out, and certainly no power down there. So we'll get confirmation on that as soon as we can. But right now, again, our tropical storm watches are for Aruba, Curacao, and Barbados. Or Bonaire, excuse me, Bonaire and Barbados. That's where we're seeing them certainly come on in time. Radar doesn't show the whole picture. There's still rain in Trinidad. There's still rain on the northern Venezuela coast. We're just void of data down there. We don't have that data. So as we go on in time, again, we're going to watch this move off toward the west. The good news is, Kelly, like with potential Tropical Cyclone 3, we may have shear keep this at bay or even weaken it somewhat as it gets into the central Caribbean.
And that would be great news. Jim, we're going to go coast to coast now and check your Tuesday weather headlines. First, what we know about that tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. We've got tropical storm warnings as well as watches posted along the Louisiana and Texas coastline. The National Weather Service in Mobile warning that soil on the central Gulf Coast is already saturated from heavy rain this month. Tallahassee, Florida, opening sandbag fill-up operations. Florida Governor Rick Scott says he's been in touch with emergency management officials in the state's panhandle to ensure that they have everything they need. Back to you, Jim, in New Orleans.
All right, as everyone knows, in New Orleans, 2005, a horrible year with Katrina. The new pump system, will it help with the rainfall that's forecast with this? We'll talk about it next. And good morning, everyone from New Orleans. The shot you're looking at here, courtesy of EarthCam, is probably about a mile from me as the crow flies. So we are on the Mississippi River this morning at the Riverwalk. You can see the beautiful Creole Queen behind me here. And for the moment, we've gotten a break, but off to our south and east, certainly a lot of showers and thunderstorms are getting ready to roll on in through here. Now, New Orleans is below sea level, and the big problem is when you put water in a bowl, the only way to get it out is just either pour it out or pumping it out, siphon it out. And that's what they have to do. After Katrina, $14 billion worth of canals, gates, and pumps that are just orchestrated beautifully to kind of get the water out of through here. Let's talk about this system here a little bit. Again, 8 below sea level, the pumps are needed to remove the rainfall from the city, obviously, because when it does rain, especially at an inch an hour, it floods the city. It just fills up the bottom of the bowl. So the pumps can remove the first inch of rainfall over the first hour. After that, the pumps can remove about a ½ inch per hour up to 5 inches. So the forecast here is for about 4 to 6 inches of rain. The question is it all going to come in a 3 or 4 hour period, or is it going to be spread out over the next several days? So as we look at the forecast for New Orleans, actually it's not 4 to 6, it's 5 to 8 inches of rain. Today and tomorrow are the big days for rainfall. 4.4 inches, 1.8 inches on Wednesday, and then we get lighter as we go into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and this becomes more of a potentially an inland flood event. But either way, we're just going to have to wait and see how this develops. It's going to be what we call, as Jen knows, a nowcast. You see the rain developing, you see it stall, and you know how heavy the rain is coming on down. That's when the nowcast goes into motion. But believe me, the Army Corps is already watching this, and we will talk to them a little bit later on this morning. All right, let's go back to Jen in the Weather Channel studios.
So rain is one big concern, Cantori, of course, but another is the risk for tornadoes. So whenever you have a landfalling tropical system, and even if this isn't officially tropical, it's got lots of characteristics of one, right? We're going to have that feature today as we see bands of rain and thunderstorms move in. There's a potential for these little spin-ups, so there is that severe risk across southern Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. These spin-ups are usually pretty short-lived, and they usually happen pretty quick. Sometimes there's not a lot of warning because of that, because again, they can spin up very quickly. They occur as the system comes onshore. In this case, it's going to be a system just hovering offshore for about 2 days or so. They're not associated with supercells. They're very shallow, short-lived, common in that northeastern quadrant, that right front quadrant of a landfalling system. That's where you have that potential to get that interaction with land as we see these bands move onshore. So, Kelly, that's going to be one concern today, tonight, and even tomorrow, I think, as well.
We'll be watching that for a while. Of course, yesterday was the Northeast with all the severe weather. You want to get out the sunglasses today, though, in New York City. You are going to need them after quite the stormy Monday afternoon. New this morning, damage reaches from the Hudson River Valley down to New Jersey. The storms signaling they mean business.
It's moving the barriers.
Yes, the barriers are moving.
Oh, my God.
Winds gusting with enough power to move traffic barricades in Manhattan.
Oh, my God.
Dark clouds engulfing Manhattan, buildings disappearing behind a wall of rain. The storms toppling trees on Manhattan's Upper West Side.
I woke up to a loud crack and boom.
And in northern New Jersey, Tom Bushnoskus was sleeping.
I shot out of bed and I see a little bit of plaster on the floor, but that was nothing. I just grabbed my glasses, run out to my parents' room, which is like right up there where the tree branches are. I'm like, oh no.
A tree shattering this Mercedes windshield in South Brunswick. Another blocking this tunnel northwest of Philadelphia and cutting power to 4,000 homes and businesses in New Jersey and Long Island. These storms unleashing torrential downpours, 1 1/3 inches in New York's Central Park, putting some streets in the city underwater. Rain pouring into a subway station in Brooklyn.
I got a twister.
This funnel hanging over Orange County, New York. Once the storms cleared the area, nature issued an apology for ruffling everyone's feathers. I love that double rainbow. Well, the storms dropped a tornado, believe it or not, on the Washington, D.C. suburbs. An EF0 tornado confirmed in Montgomery County, Maryland, with winds topping 70 miles per hour. But, Jen, today's the day to clean up from all that damage. A lot of it.
There's a lot of it. Look at all of these storm damage reports, 170 of them here, mainly from wind damage all the way from Virginia straight up through Pennsylvania, New York, even up into Maine, Vermont. You guys had some tough storms, too. Here's where we are right now. A couple of showers out there. You know, the front front itself, the influence is gone, but we are going to be looking for some scattered showers in the area today. So can't give you a complete all clear. That upper level low that actually is centered up into southeastern Canada still allows some scattered showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two to pop across parts of the northeast. Let's go back out to Jim with more on the tropics.
All right, here, guys, in the Big Easy, it's all air you can wear this morning. Our temperature and our dew point are very close. The air is saturated, and believe me, you can absolutely feel it. But it's what may come out of the sky that has us worried the most, and that's what we'll talk about. The rain potential with post-tropical Cyclone 3 coming.
Mom! Honey, you need sun protection if you want to be a champion like Lightning McQueen.
No, I need a green!
Help protect your future champions with Coppertone Kids. See Disney Pixar's Cars 3 now in 3D.
Brought to you by Coppertone, because protection matters.
Managing blood sugar is not a marathon. It's a series of smart choices. And when you replace one meal or snack a day with Glucerna, made with Carb Steady to help minimize blood sugar spikes, you can really feel it. Glucerna, everyday progress.
20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bow lines. Sail away from the safe harbor. Catch the trade winds in your sails. Explore, dream, discover.
Corolla with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. Toyota, let's go places.
For sale, Lakeside Getaway. Solid construction with mudroom. For $200, no mortgage necessary. Cabela's West Wind Dome Tent. Great price. Lifetime guarantee. Only at Cabela's.
The following message is brought to you by Mesobook.com.
People who have been diagnosed with mesothelioma have many questions. How did I get this disease? What are my treatment options? How will this affect my loved ones? You need answers, which is why we offer a free book written by medical professionals who have treated mesothelioma.
Call toll-free at 1-800-300-7112 or go to mesobook.com.
I won this 55-inch TV for less than $30 on DealDash.com.
I got this $1,200 computer for $100.71.
These aren't actors, they're real people who got real savings at DealDash.com, the fair and honest bidding site. At DealDash.com, you can save up to 99%, but hurry, everything must go.
And shipping is always free.
Visit DealDash.com and start bidding today.
If you're at home asking why, we've got a guy for that.
That's right, Carl Parker looking at the atmosphere. When you get it, you're gonna love it. That's well done.
Slow clap.
Use the hashtag WUTV on Twitter.
Yeah, Mom.
And this is gonna be fun stuff.
Weather Underground, weeknights at 6 on the Weather Channel.
We nailed it.
Stay tuned for your Local on the 8s, brought to you by Coppertone, because protection matters.
Introducing Coppertone Whipped. New sun protection like you've never seen or felt. It absorbs quickly and leaves your skin feeling soft and smooth while helping to prevent sun damage. New Coppertone Whipped, because protection matters.
Is this my car? State Farm knows that for every one of those moments, there's one of these.
Is this my car?
This is ridiculous!
This is ridiculous. Ah!
From car insurance to car loans, State Farm is here to help life go right.
Do you always put Cheez-It Grooves in your sandwich?
Of course. They're chips. Chips plus sandwich equals the perfect lunch.
Oh, don't forget the pickle. It's kind of a big deal.
Cheez-It Grooves. Chips made with 100% real cheese. Dang right it's a chip.
Introducing Coppertone Whipped. New sun protection like you've never seen or felt. It absorbs quickly and leaves your skin feeling soft and smooth while helping to prevent sun damage. New Coppertone Whipped, because protection matters.
Time to check on travel at just about 20 past the hour here on AMHQ. We've got some strong thunderstorms in the forecast for parts of the south, including the Tar Heel State. We have a live look at Charlotte, the Queen City. We've already had some rain. I know we had over a half an inch of rain yesterday, actually. Not as much in Raleigh yesterday, but we've had some heavy rain this morning. So the roads are already damp, the ground already saturated. So there could be some ponding on the roadways. Definitely be careful of that, especially with these storms as they train over the same areas. You can see that down to the south of Raleigh. We do have some very heavy rain between Fayetteville over towards Kinston, North Carolina as well. The Outer Banks, I know a lot of folks love to go to the Outer Banks this time of the year. Just listen for the thunder, watch for the heavy downpours as they pop up here between Raleigh and Charlotte. We could see quite a bit of rain in a short period of time. And Jen, speaking of that, we can see a lot of that along the Gulf Coast with our tropical system.
Yes, this is potential tropical cyclone number 3 that we are watching in the Gulf of Mexico. So here's the latest stats for you. The advisory that came out as of 5 a.m. Eastern time this morning. Winds at 40 miles per hour. The pressure at 1,000 millibars. The movement to the northwest at 8. Now, the hurricane hunters are expected to go back out into it again today, so we'll get new information about the organization of it, about the central pressure, and of course about the winds. But we've got lots of buoys out there showing us where the winds are as well. And Jim, we know that a lot of these tropical cyclone or tropical storm force winds are on the east side. In fact, well outside of that path or the expected cone where the storm is going to go.
Yeah, it's interesting. The whole wind field, doesn't look like a tropical system yet. But if it were to tighten up, I think that would certainly allow it to happen. But it's not happening. We'll talk about that why. Guys, we're right here on the Mississippi River, by the way, down at the Riverwalk. You can see the barge traffic, and in the direction this is moving, it's actually going upriver. So we don't know what came into port, obviously, but that is being shoved upriver to who knows where. The good news is the Mississippi River right now is at 13 feet, and it is below flood stage. So even though we've had a wet spring, we are below flood stage in terms of that river. And that's really important when you're talking about bringing potentially 5 to 8 inches of rain into New Orleans over the next couple of days. All right, so post-tropical cyclone 3, which is essentially the short of it, it's a tropical storm, kind of, in the making. But it allows the Hurricane Center to pull the options of tropical storm warnings and advisories, cones and things like that, if it were a tropical storm, if that makes sense. So meteorologically, it's not one yet, but handling it from a analytical perspective and what they have to do for emergency managers, it is one because it has a cone. Brett, we know, went from post-tropical cyclone 2 to